that in there, because we can.
Well, I know we can.
For sure, but I think we had two. So anyway, but basically though.
All right, everybody, don't forget to speak into the microphones. We're about 1 minute out.
Turn it on.
Mr. Ryan, find your seat, please. Boy, caught it right at the beginning. There we go. Janine, we ready? All right, good evening. I'd like to welcome you and call to order the December 16th Port Orchard City Council regular meeting, and also of our guiding principles and the actions we are about to take this evening. We need to ask ourselves, are we raising the bar in our actions? Are we honoring the past but not living in the past? Are we building positive connections with our community and outside partners? And is the decision-making process building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community? Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Fred, it's your last meeting. You gonna vote no on everything?
Well, the things I wanted to vote no on were canceled.
Yeah. All right.
Good work. Nice work.
All right. We have a published agenda. Are the proposed amendment? Councilor Rosa Pepe.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to add to the business item D, establishment of a council committee to review and make recommendations to chapter 2.04 council meetings. I
Don't believe you should add that as a business item. I think that's more appropriate as a discussion item.
as a discussion item,
At the tail end of the meeting.
then I will add it then, but it doesn't, just make sure I'm correct on this when I was talking, that it did need a resolution to do that by adding a committee,
Create a committee.
to create a committee.
Wait,
I think
I got,
Takes a, I'm not
No,
sure that it does. Take a vote. Miss Archer, are you?
Yes, I believe at the last council meeting, we advised that the committees had typically been established by resolution. So the scope would be set out in the resolution.
Okay, I wasn't at the last council meeting, so I wasn't aware of that. So you're wanting to add that?
Yes,
We're adding a business item then.
as business item D.
Okay. And what is that motion? What is it you're asking?
Establishment of a council committee to review and make recommendations to chapter 2.04 council meetings.
2.04.
Thanks, Charlie, for coming to my rescue.
Not a problem.
Is there a second? I'm looking for a second.
second.
A motion, a second, and questions. Go ahead, council
Yeah.
member.
So are we voting on this or not voting on it? We're just talking about it.
We're just bringing this on as a business item. When it gets to business
establish
item
it.
D, then we'll discuss it.
Okay,
Okay.
the
And that
motion
seems
is
late to vote.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
There's a motion, a second to add business item D, the establishment of a committee related to chapter 2.04 council committee, council meetings. If that's correct. All in favor of adding that business item, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that has been added to our agenda. Any other proposed amendments? Council member, go ahead.
Probably might be premature, but Mr. Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second,
Motion by Councilmember Trenary, second by Councilmember Rosepepe to approve the agenda as amended. Anybody, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the agenda has been set for tonight. We're to our first citizen comment period. Is there anyone wishing to address the city council this evening? And if you're online, use the raise your hand feature and the clerk will bring you into the meeting. Okay. I don't see anybody rushing the podium yet. And I see a hand raised. Is that your hand, Brandy? No, that is your hand raised. All right, I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to close the first citizen comment period. We're to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Diener, second by Councilmember Trenary to approve the consent agenda as presented. Councilmember Rosepepe, you have a comment?
Yes, I do, Mayor, and thank you. I didn't want to pull this off because, for the discussion and stuff, but I did want to acknowledge the chief and department continued coordination over derelict vessels. There's an item in here with additional funding going to make sure that the vessel in question is being removed. So this is just, again, we're taking action on these vessels and it's greatly appreciated. And I know our citizens appreciate it too. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'll just add that I also want to express my thanks. It's been something that's been kind of near and dear to me. I know that we're working on it with other jurisdictions. But it's an incredibly complex maze of legislation, rules, and laws to do this. And so I just want to again applaud Port Orchard's leading the way in some ways as part of this overall jurisdictional discussion. Thanks, Chief.
Councilman Morris, are you piling on?
Well, I was just going to encourage my fellow peers here that if we'd like to do something about it, you can join the cause in advocacy. I took the information the chief gave us. I'm working with, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but someone over at the county, Kitsap County, who's pushing some changes to legislation that makes this better. So the upcoming session down in Olympia starts imminently next month, and we could use your voice down in Olympia.
On that note, I know that Paul's both pushing that legislation, and there was a joint letter that many of us signed on to was sent to the governor's office that they're asking for some changes in legislation to make it easier for us to seize a boat before it gets critical. So, Councilmember Dean.
That was a couple months ago, right? That letter came out maybe 3 months ago, whatnot.
Could have been yesterday, could have been. Yeah, it was 6 weeks ago.
It was a minute ago.
I know it just finally trailed through everybody's signatures and went out. I think it was last week, maybe, or this week.
I just wanted to add that it's incredible how many derelict vessels we're seeing just in the last year or so compared to previous years. At least that's what I'm seeing. And I think it's because people are finding homes in air quotes here that they can buy for relatively cheap, and then they quickly get underwater, no pun intended, with what it takes to maintain a vessel, especially these wooden vessels. And so many of them are really old and no longer seaworthy. So there's going to be some good changes we expect out of legislation, like home registration and insurance and tags and all of that.
Yeah, sure hope so. Okay. All right, we ready to vote on the consent agenda? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda has been approved. We have a couple of presentations tonight. The first one is by Mr. Joe Morrison, the Executive Director from KEDA. And he gave a fabulous update of the goings on in KEDA here at a Rotary meeting recently. And I said, gosh, we should hear this at City Hall. So here he is.
Well, I don't know about how fabulous it was, and apologies if you've seen part of this before, but it's a veritable silver tsunami of presenters tonight. So you've got myself and a personal friend of mine who will go next, and I suspect he'll be better, but I'll do the best I can. Anyway, thank you for having me, council members and Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I hope you're recuperating well. My name is Joe Morrison. I'm the Executive Director, that's right, of the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance. We are a 40-plus-year-old organization. The city of Port Orchard has been investing in us for decades as partners in economic development. So what I'll do tonight, if it's okay, this is the clicker, I take it? Does this click?
Yes, fingers crossed.
All right, well, we'll find out. I'll talk just briefly on our economy, and then I'll talk about some of the work KEDA does, and then I'll open it up to questions from the council. So talking about Kitsap's economy, depending on how you look at it, our household income, median household income in Kitsap is about just under $100,000. That's driven up by the communities of course, Bainbridge Island, but also Silverdale, to a lesser extent, Paulsbo. And then sitting somewhere around $200,000 in income is Port Orchard, and of course, Bremerton's below that. Port Orchard's median income has been stable for the last 1 or 2 years. I think that's a good thing because we live in a place that is relatively expensive. We might be an affordable part of Puget Sound and Greater Seattle, but by and large, the Seattle area is expensive, and Kitsap costs about 15% more than the rest of the nation when you look at what we're paying for in terms of utilities or energy infrastructure or medical care, transportation. We pay just a little bit more than the typical American does. And I suppose it's not just a little bit. This cost of living difference is an impediment to some of the things we want to accomplish in our community and economy, like getting more doctors here and getting more healthcare professionals here. It's more expensive to do things here, so people don't necessarily to this area as much as they could. The good news is we're still a relative bargain in the Greater Seattle area. Seattle's like 40% more than the national average. So if you're at 15%, that's relatively okay. We're sort of where Olympia is, and we're not where Bellevue is, and we're just under where Bellingham is. So a little more affordable. But we ain't what we used to be. Pre-pandemic, I moved here in 2017. I bought my house for more than that, $344,333. That was the median home resale price then. But what I bought it for is well under what the median home resale price is now, somewhere above $500,000 in the county. Home prices in Port Orchard have gone up 74% pre-pandemic over 6 years. This could be worse. It's generally better to have appreciating asset prices than depreciating asset prices, but the bottom line is the only thing that solves the housing challenge and housing prices is building more housing. And I'm pleased to say Port Orchard has been doing that and doing their part in putting more houses and more multifamily units into the market, and is one of the faster growing cities in Washington, which I'm really thankful for. I'm thankful that Port Orchard is doing its job to house people in Kitsap County. So just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the economic realities we face. Generally, I'm all sunshine and roses and very positive about Kitsap's economy. There's one thing that is particularly backbreaking to Kitsap's economy that we just came across a couple weeks ago, and it's a federal shutdown. $200 million or more was missing from the local economy at that time. Coffee stands were on their last legs. People people who work for the Navy, were living off paycheck advances from local financial institutions like Kitsap Credit Union, Peninsula Community Federal Credit Union, and larger institutions like Boeing employees and the Navy Federal Credit Union. So things are really great for Kitsap's economy as long as we don't have government shutdowns. Well, what's KEDA? What are we? A couple of years ago, we started moving to a 5-year regional economic plan. Because economic development takes time. It takes time to build things. It takes time to build things and do things, particularly in Washington State. And we wanted to establish some goals and impactful goals about what our impact would be. So these were 3 main goals. We want to help create or retain 2,500 jobs. That means when we work with a local company and they expand, we write down how many jobs they expand to and keep track of it. Add 350,000 new square feet of industrial space, more on that in a moment, and see 3% GDP growth. We should see 3% GDP growth absent a recession. As for adding industrial space, as for impacting the jobs, that's the hard work. That's the work we're dutifully doing. Just talking about the day job and the strategy of KEDA. So the day-to-day activities of KEDA look like interface with your local businesses, connect them to export opportunities, help local companies start up, talk to companies about moving here, provide trainings. That's the stuff we do every day. Our major funder is the Washington State Department of Commerce. That's what they require we do on a daily basis. We accomplish all our goals and then some in an average year. But to do that, we take a more strategic approach, right? And one of the things we started looking at was it's well known that there's going to be an investment in the billions of dollars headed into the Bremerton shipyard. And that's because the Bremerton shipyard is 133 plus years old. It has old industrial facilities. It's not laid out optimally for processes and industrial processes. And most importantly, it does not have a dry dock that's capable of lifting the Ford-class aircraft carrier. They have to invest in a dry dock that will lift the Ford-class aircraft carrier. We're the only dry dock on the West Coast that can do that. So billions of dollars are headed our way. And so that creates the question, well, what does the Navy need? The Navy said, we need hundreds of thousands of square feet of industrial space. We also need hundreds of thousands of square feet of office space. And that's just the Navy. Every multinational defense contractor is in Kitsap. British Aerospace is in Kitsap. Lockheed Martin is in Kitsap. Raytheon is in Kitsap. Leidos is in Kitsap. And the list goes on. And General Dynamics is in Kitsap. They will also need to expand. So we looked at what we have and what it's like, and we found that there's just not a lot of industrial buildings in our community, and there's not adequate underlying infrastructure to help create that. We found a 1.8% vacancy rate. We found that our industrial buildings were typically between 30 and 40 years old. On a scale of 1 to 3 stars, they're 2 stars, maybe 2.5 if they're a flex building. And we're neither competitive nor are we, nor do we have the capacity for the growth that's headed our way. So part of the work Kita's been doing has been working with our private investors and developers to build that capacity. And we have 50+ thousand square feet in the works right now. It's exciting. The major area, though, for this opportunity is just up the road here in Highway 3, yes, between Gorst and Belfair. That is the largest greenfield industrial site remaining in Puget Sound, but it needs tens of millions of dollars of infrastructure upgrades, including power, including sewer, to kind of create the underlying infrastructure which will welcome sizable industrial buildings that companies will need to move into. And there aren't any vacant buildings in that area, say, right now. So that's another area where we're really focused, and we're focused on things like interlocal agreements about sewer, and making sure that jurisdictions are talking to each other and trying to expand infrastructure into the area. I'm pressing the tiny button. But the
You can get assist from Brandy.
There we go. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the 4 core members of Kita spend their time doing, in addition to the stuff that you've just seen. I spend my time working on our healthcare priorities, and so that includes working with Olympic College as they seek to expand their healthcare careers. At the end of this year, there will be about 1,300 open healthcare positions recruited for in Kitsap that we're looking to fill. Those are great paying careers. Olympic College has declared it a priority to grow those careers. And so part of what I'm doing is working with OC to help them find partners, find investors, stand up new facilities related to their healthcare priorities. And one of the things my colleague is doing is focusing on childcare. And you might wonder why he's focusing on childcare when it comes to economic development. Washington State struggles with adequate childcare capacity, and Kitsap might be particularly a bit of a childcare desert when we look at it. So James is running a countywide task force to listen to childcare providers. I think Councilwoman Fenton has been involved in some of those conversations and experienced them. And what he's looking to do by the end of second quarter is create a toolkit that will enable small childcare providers, people who are going to have 1 to 5 kids in their house, friends and family, to stand up more local businesses and more childcare providers in our community. So that's something James is working on. He's also procured over $100,000 in the last few years for 3 years of micro enterprise training 48 businesses and affecting hundreds more through a program that's run out of Matchstick Labs in Paulsbo. We have a bit of a research department now. We hired somebody new, Elizabeth Court, who was our former workforce chief, and she does things like reports on our top employers in the community, writes our economic profile of what our economy is like every year, and produces quarterly employment reports about what jobs are most demand in Kitsap. And then my colleague Teresa Mangrum produces a lot of events related to core strategies that Kita is pursuing. The most recent one was related to FIFA World Cup. We know that the world's largest sports tournament is headed our way, and 6 games will be hosted in Seattle. Bremerton's a fan zone. And so this community, north to south, is pulling together. Josh Johnson spoke quite a bit at Kickstart Kitsap about the opportunities he sees in Port Orchard related to getting those tourist dollars and benefiting from that event. And I hope that the board members of KEDA, Councilmember Morrissey, Mayor Putansu, and Mark Trenary, who's an investor in KEDA, will join us for our event this week, which is a legislative lunch. That is Thursday from 12 to 2. And if you folks can't make it, please feel free to extend it to your fellow council members. We'll get them in. So, you know, our events are related to strategies that we're pursuing, whether it's with the Navy, whether it's with workforce, or whether it's with FIFA and next year's tournaments. We're kind of everywhere. We do a lot of things. One of the things we're working on is to kind of see the breadth of where we're stretching into here. One of the projects we're starting to work on now is to collaborate with the Allied Building Contractors on a 10-part program in association with Kitsap Building Association to create more subcontractors in our community and train them on best practices so that they're more resilient and their businesses last longer, doing that kind of thing. We have a government contracting program with 2 people who have over 50 years of federal contracting experience. They are the experts statewide in what it's like to contract with the Navy, and they help folks obtain multi-million-dollar contracts in our community. So bringing it to a close, things are great in Kitsap. There's no community of 290,000 people, which is what Kitsap County is, little less, that is going to receive billions of federal dollars in investment in the near future. We have the shipyard upgrades. After that, the Columbia class is headed here. We're adjacent to still one of the hottest areas in the nation, Seattle. While we might sort of look at Seattle differently here across the water, plenty of people move to Seattle, and it's still a remarkable economic engine. We're going to add people in our community, 70,000 by 2044, 80,000 by 2050. That's all positive. And I think Port Orchard's growth bodes good things for its future, and it's time to capitalize on that growth so that we have the community that we envision and need. If you haven't checked out this local business downtown, I encourage you to do that. They're fantastic, as are so many of our local businesses. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for your time and your longstanding investment in our alliance.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed it. It was pretty informative. What will the increase in the industrial area along Highway 3 do to dent the overall need for federal industrial lands?
Oh, that's a good question, Councilmember Diener. I think what I worry about is us building enough industrial to see those dollars move into our community, the jobs be in our community, the taxes occur in our community, and for us to take advantage of it. It feels like we struggle to do that here. There is a lot of legitimacy to it. Costs a lot to build, and our rents just aren't that high, and that's why that hasn't happened. And so what our organization is doing is making the case for it's coming. There are other indicators that say investors are putting money into industrial facilities, so you should too. And that's part of kind of the strategic work we're doing. Does that answer your question?
I'm just curious if like that's a 30% dent in the need for industrial lands for the feds, or if it's a 60% dent, or if it's tip of the iceberg.
I think tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
They needed 280,000 acres. To my knowledge, Kitsap satisfied about 60 or 70,000.
Okay.
Square feet. Sorry. Huh. They needed 280,000 square feet. I think we got about 60 or 70,000 of it.
Okay.
All right. And if you don't have the good stuff's bread punch card, you're missing out.
Yeah.
They make 42 loads a day and sell out every day.
I think you have to reserve them.
I have one at my
And
house.
you can call. Reserve it.
Go ahead, Jay.
So in 2008, I represented Mason Transit on the Gorst project. And here we are, 2025, soon to be 2026. And while we're looking at building this industrial capacity out in the airport area, I don't see, I don't mean to be a naysayer, but Gorse still remains a major roadblock, no pun intended. And I'm wondering what you're seeing, especially with the state's continued issues with deficits.
I feel like that's a great plug for our legislative lunch in 2 days, because I was literally writing our question to our legislators about our transportation priorities, which are of course Gorst, SR 104, and really the Belfair bypass, and making sure those things move forward. I worry that we're not. I'll find out more Thursday, but I worry that we're not in a strong enough position to retain what we have and to move things forward, right? And I think that we are in a bit of a defensive position as the state faces fiscal pressures related to our transportation priorities.
And I happen to be one of the co-chairs of the Gorse Coalition, and I was in a meeting today, matter of fact, with Senator Rendell's office about the subjects. And you know that the state has funded they're in the process of determining the right outcome. And I certainly hope we tumble to a bridge. I mean, it's going to cost $1 billion whether we do this by cuts by 1,000 knives and do a whole bunch of projects all the way around, or we build a bridge. And we've got to get the tribes on board with that bridge solution. I don't see this project happening ahead of the Navy's project. That's not realistic.
And
it's not going to be solved by our state. It's too big of a project. And it's about resiliency and the Navy's needs, and we're going to need help from the federal government. And that's really where that's going to have to come from.
And I understand that. I'm just, and I know it's, just stating the obvious, but that's been 17 years.
Yeah.
When I was on that committee, and that committee had been established well before I was on it. So I wish you good luck in the, in the industrial area on that. So thank you.
Cheers.
Councilmember, go ahead.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say as well, Jay, is I'm in that industrial park out there several times a week. My office is out there. And 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning, when you're leaving there, you're backed up well past Sunny Slope. You can be all the way to the roundabout, backed up, trying to get out of there. I couldn't imagine them trying to, bring in more businesses, more traffic with the highway the way that it is right now going into Gorst. So I was kind of curious, the same thing, which was, it was already answered, but just
stating the obvious.
Just stating the obvious, I guess. Yeah.
Maybe you want to take a moment and talk about the Belfair bypass.
Well, the Belfair bypass is on our list of transportation's priorities too. And, one of the, I think that when we get into it a bit Thursday, one of the questions is, what do we need to do to play defense for the Gorst capital? But one of the questions is, what do we need to move the Belfair bypass forward? There's a new facility out at the Port of Bremerton. It's a 60,000 square foot facility. So for the record, I'm talking about 6 more buildings. That's Kita's, 5 now. That's 4, okay? Because we've got one in the works.
Sure.
I'm not looking for massive construction, but I am looking for us to capitalize on what's here and what's coming our way, and for local wealth to be created. Because at the end of the day, that's what economic development's role is: facilitate jobs and investment in our community, right? That's the core of what we do. I agree with you all that Gorst is one of the many challenges that corridor faces, and it's a form of infrastructure, just like power, just like sewer, increasing road access. And there's dozens, hundreds of employees who are sharing that frustration, Councilmember Warden.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing what we can to, as we enter the legislative session, to push the Belfair bypass forward.
Yeah, this is when I see, waste management trucks lined up out there, and the Amazon trucks lined up on that highway out there. I think that's a lot of money just sitting there, not working. I don't know if any other type of business like that would want to go out there, right, when their employees are just sitting still and not working. But so you mentioned like FIFA. Is your role to bring people to the peninsula, or just mainly careers, professions, businesses? Or is it all of it? Because my thing is like, with like FIFA, I, like a lot of us, would take our kids to sports complexes that are bringing hundreds, thousands every day that just flood their market. You go down to Lacey, those places are just getting flooded, with people every weekend going there, which creates jobs, which brings in more businesses to help support those people. Is that ever on the radar of things like that, like big sports complexes that bring, am I way off base on that?
Are you asking about youth sports facilities?
Yes, correct.
So yes, so the answer is, and perhaps this is somewhere where our board should guide Kita and say, narrow your field of vision a bit, and that's fine. But right now our field of vision is really wide, and that's included in it. And literally today, I was at the North Kitsap United discussion up in Port Gamble related to the proposal at Bond Road to build 30 field across 100 acres and put another 300 acres into conservancy. So yes, if that's something that Port Orchard starts to pursue in a master plan, we're there for you.
Yeah, just the amount of traffic that it brings in, every weekend, year round for a lot of these. I thought that I always wondered like why we don't, as a community, I mean the whole peninsula, invest in something like that, because this brings in so much traffic that a lot of small businesses, everyone benefits from. But that's it. That's all I have. I could be way off on that question. I don't know.
Councilor? I just wanted to remind the council that when we did our Parks and Recreation survey years ago, it had a pretty robust response, but a brick and mortar facility for youth was top of the list. And as I understand, we have first rights of refusal on Veterans Park from the county, who would love to offload that. And so I've always said there's great bones there for an athletic facility, and it's what the community's asked for.
Yeah, I completely agree. We just got a lot on our plate right now. And when we get some of the deck cleared, we got a retreat coming likely after the first of the year and set some long-term priorities. And that's probably a worthy one.
Yeah, I've got more, but Heidi has her hand up.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Joe, have you heard about, because I know like brick and mortar for a YMCA to come here, and I think there's going to be a morning meeting. It's either today or tomorrow, and it's like the community and schools getting together. It's going to be over at the, oh gosh, where is it? The district office.
Their admin building.
Yeah, and so so do you help on like the smaller stuff too?
Yeah.
And everything, right?
Yes, we help on the smaller stuff too. Again, we're not, the board can redirect us, but we're not particularly discerning. And I think one thing we found during COVID was small businesses weren't being helped as much. So we got into that, offered a bunch of grants. I'm not aware of that meeting. If I have capacity, I'm happy to attend. So I'll email you, Councilmember Fenton.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that the YMCA would like to be here. And they'll do everything they can to stand up as many facilities and raise as much money for their facilities as they can. Yeah. And sometimes those things come with childcare slots too. So they're a really good idea. And that enables more participation in your workforce.
Joe, I just sent it to you.
Thank you.
It's Thursday morning, an hour before our meeting starts.
I'm probably not going to be able to make that.
I have it on my calendar as well. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, but I wanted to go because I was told the library system's looking at partnering with the Y at a facility in Bremerton. So I don't know how many partnerships they're able to, their capacity and that kind of stuff too, because someone's got to give somewhere. So
anyway, you have the information anyhow.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'll try and connect afterward to hear how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councilmember?
Yes. So at the beginning of the presentation, you talked about the cost of living in Kitsap County. And it's been known that we have a higher cost of living than many of the areas around us, except for the greater area of Seattle. And I'm just curious about why is that? Why do we see such a high cost of gas, for example, or high cost of living here? And it's been that way for a while. It's not anything that suddenly is new to our area, just more people are becoming aware of it because it's a tighter economy. But I'm just curious about why do we see higher prices and a higher cost of living in Kitsap County?
Yes, we're more expensive than Pierce. We're kind of on par with Thurston, but we're not as, and we're headed towards Snohomish, and we're not nearly as bad as King County, right? Some of these are good problems to have, and some of them are bad problems to have. This community experienced a lot of wage growth post-pandemic. Some of that was employers here raising their wages to meet the regional average. For instance, if you worked in Kitsap government and somebody from King County government wanted to hire you, Kitsap government started having to raise their wages. Everybody had to raise their wages, so that's part of it. In general, things are as expensive here, Councilmember Diener, as they are, not as they are in Seattle, but you're still paying a lot, like to eat out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of those are underlying policy decisions that affect the whole region, right? Things that drive up the cost of gas, that drive up the cost of wages. And again, some of these are good problems because wealth is good, but some of these are bad problems too, because if there's not enough houses, housing prices stay high, fewer people can afford homes, fewer people can get homes, and if fewer homes are created, more people are displaced, right? And sort of that's where I tend to focus on the cost of living argument. One way I think of it is that just Kitsap used to be kind of an island, kind of quiet. It was way more disadvantaged to be 10 miles across the water in 2015 than it is in 2025. We have fast ferries. We have 900 miles of public fiber here. It's just not, people aren't in the office as much as they used to be. That's changed us, and now we're more like the rest of Seattle.
And I think you missed, we're a desirable place to live.
Yeah, but it's been that way for a while, and it's been desirable for a while. I was just curious I was curious really if the military had a role in that. For example, the stipends they issue for housing and how that's been, as I've heard, one of the issues that has driven up the cost of housing and rentals.
Maybe in the past, but I think the housing costs of, we'd have to look, right? But my instincts would be the costs of housing have gone up so dramatically that federal contribution to a basic employee's housing does not come close to meeting the needs nor the costs of the region. Now, the good news is some apartment prices are coming down. Those apartment prices are coming down in Bremerton and Port Orchard. That's good, but it's still $1,700 a month.
Yeah.
Thank you. Or more.
Or more.
Councilmember, go ahead.
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you. Piggybacking a little bit back to what Eric talked about as far as tourism dollars. Have you had recent conversations with the motorsports group out there? And if so, can you share a little bit of that?
So no, we haven't been in touch with the motorsports park. What I'm aware of at the motorsports park is they have I'm making some assumptions here, but I think they have 6 months on their lease that has been extended by the Port of Bremerton, and that sometime in summer 2026, the Port of Bremerton will look at that lease, see the progress that they've made toward their project and where that project will land. We're not focused on that. We're focused on industrial capacity. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you so much for your investment. If I can be of any assistance, feel free to contact me directly. Appreciate you all. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We have I snuck a second presentation on, as you guys are all aware, we're working on process improvement on multiple fronts. And I know Tim Sloan and his agency does work in the mission, vision, values, and team building front. And I thought we needed to break down some barriers between our departments, have a shared vision and mission. And so a few months ago, we hired Tim, a couple months ago, actually. We had 3 sessions with 16 staff members from frontline staff, mid-level managers, directors, and myself participate in this process. And we wrapped it up yesterday, and we were really excited about it. And I was going to share it in my mayor's report at the end of the night, what we did. And Tim said, I'd like to come to the council meeting. And I said, well, if you're going to come to the council meeting, why don't you present the body of work? Because you facilitated, I was just a participant. So I've done a foreshadowing. Tim Sloan from the Sloan Agency, and take us away.
Great. Thanks for having me here tonight on this very nice evening of Seattle sunshine. I am Tim Sloan. I am a resident of the community here by the Southworth Ferry. So it was a desirable place to live in COVID. So I've been here for 5 years. So I'm a business and leadership coach. So I work at the intersection of like systems and people. And I just love to bring that passion of like, how do you have business impact? And then how do you make a really great experience for the employees? And that passion came out for me just, quickly from, I worked at King County. I worked for Seattle, King County Public Health, Amazon, Microsoft, and a bunch of startups. So I've been doing this work for 6 years because I just believe that we can have a better impact across, our businesses, and people can have a good time while they do their work. So thank you for having me here. So we probably all know this, but I always like to say, vision, mission, and values give us a shared reference point. They're so important in an organization. And, a lot of organizations kind of put them on a wall and walk away from them. And so what I really like to point out is that this helps really brings clarity on how decisions are made. It talks about, how people can work across departments. Many of these folks here were part of the meeting. And there's also a consistency. So when employees come to work, staff aren't guessing, how any of the stuff that's going on, and also the community. There's a lot of conversation around how the community experiences the city and how the city employees participate together. So this was a really fun project to work on here. And so we will go into, Rob talked about the process. These folks here were very instrumental, especially in the editing part. So very thankful for that. But we really focused on inclusion, making sure all the departments were included. We wanted to have real conversation about what was important and how to make these really, this vision and mission, and especially the values are lived. Lived values are what really make an organization thrive. And in the city government, there's so much opportunity for internally and then externally that I experienced when I was working in the government. So what I'd like to do is have you what we'll do is have you read through these. We won't necessarily discuss them right now. We'll do that at the end. But go ahead and take a moment to look at this vision and read through it. And so the vision is really about where the city is moving towards. This is the vision of saying, this is our aspiration, where we want to be, what do we want to become? And so this is really a lot of the words that came out of this were around safe, supported, valued, thriving, and connected, with the headline of realizing our community potential. And here's the mission that the team came up with. And so the mission is about, how does the city deliver this on a day-to-day basis? How is the day-to-day work going to achieve the vision? And so with this one here, it was around integrity, safety, quality of life, and continuous improvement. And one of my favorites is values. This is how the work gets done on a day-to-day basis. This is where internally and externally, this is where employees can work together and live these values. And this is also where the employees can live the values with the community. This is something that's a reference point, just similar to how you do at the beginning of the meeting here. And so the 3 values that they came up with was service, engagement, and integrity. I spoke faster than my friend Joe did over there. So really, it's just you have in front of you, have a printout in front of you of the vision, mission, and values. And so this is a time to talk about questions for understanding. We have many people who are here who developed this. and talk about what the next steps are with this.
So just more than, wanted to share this with you guys. And you know, everyone in the room, you know, embraced this process, engaged in the process. And I don't think anybody, everybody was satisfied with the work product when we finished at the end of the day. And the folks that I chose were really a smattering of leaders throughout the city. I mean, we couldn't have all 105 employees in this room, but I need buy-in. So I needed that frontline engagement and that buy-in from our staff, because they're the ones that are going to live this each and every day. And so I just wanted to share with you the body of work that we did, and welcome your feedback on it. And if nothing else, I plan to, you know, somehow, you know, like we've done here with our guiding principles, you know, put it probably in the lobby, you know, mount it prominently so that we see it every day, and the public and can see that and know what our you know, our mission, vision, and values are, you know, from at least from the administrator's perspective. So, Councilmember Diener.
So thank you very much. Appreciate this. I think the timing's great. I was a relatively new council member when we did the same exercise 10 years ago, more or less. So my question.
Kitsap County.
No, here. We did it here quite some time ago.
Okay.
Maybe it was 12 years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but so my question is was this built from the ground up, the vision, mission, value statements, or did we rely on what we already had and build off of that?
Ground up.
Ground up. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I like what I've read. I'll have to obviously give it some thought.
Yeah, we did a survey of the team so that I could collect just those kind of innate embodied kind of language from people about what they thought where the city would be going, where they wanted it to go, also the, you know, that day-to-day piece. So it was actually one of the better processes. They had good participation, positive participation. But yeah, we built it from the ground up.
Nice. Thank you.
Councilor Rose Pepper.
So and this is great for the city living this, but how does the city create the nexus with the community?
Good question.
Well, the language we use, the focus of the language was to make it be a part of the community. Since so many, like people like myself, I'll say I live in Port Orchard, but I actually live, you know, outside of the city. So the language was to say, let's embrace the community aspect of all the vision, mission, and values.
And this is really our vision
Right.
and mission and values as we conduct ourselves on a daily basis is in City Hall.
Yeah, and I understand that, but that's going to impact how we.
Well, yes,
Work with the
hopefully in a
community.
positive manner.
No.
because we
I
live
see it
these
as,
values.
I really do see it as being positive, Mayor.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and the work that goes into it. But my question is, and I don't think there's an answer right tonight,
Okay.
but it's the implementation of that framework. Because you didn't have 105 employees in the room, as you stated, you know,
Yes,
because you
you're right.
can't. But to get that framework out so that we can live it, we can deliver it, and go from there. And that's, so it's like, how do you create that nexus?
Mhm.
What are
And
the
to
next steps?
remind each other when we're not living up to these,
Yes.
you know, we've got, you know, a North Star to point
Yeah.
to.
I think, you know, the way I see your question is how are we pushing this out to the public in an actionable way?
Yeah. That's what
I
that's my
think
question.
it's more intended internally to work as we work to each other.
Internal.
But work with each other and support each other
I
across,
see that
in
community.
between the departments, if I'm not
They'll receive.
misspeaking, Jim?
There will be,
But this is staff.
my perspective, there will be opportunities to connect it with the community in a really good way. And I think the police department and what Matt has been doing is a great example of how there's lived values between the two. And so, yes, there's, it's very important for this not to sit on a piece of paper in a binder on a computer. So
Yeah.
that is the next step.
Yeah, we do intend to live it.
I just wanted to remind council members that our comprehensive plan provides that public guidance and our values that we're probably beginning to wonder about a little bit when we're looking at this, wondering if it's external or internal or hybrid, but we do have our comp plan, which guides us in our vision.
Yeah, there's more to that internal, external locus. And I would just caution us to be careful because there are a strong number of folks that live in our community that won't like the words growth and revitalization, right? Especially, if we're taking this externally. So I would just have some caution there when we're deciding where we're going with that.
Yeah. One of the best practices, and drafted some of that up, is what can you give employees to have to talk to the community? So kind of what's that FAQ? I call it a rude FAQ. So that when people say, hey, I don't want growth and revitalization, what's a city employee's response to that embraces the direction that you're moving, but also honors the person who's asking that question. So that's part of what you were talking about there. About how do you get this live so that when one of the things that was important when I was working with the team was exactly that. How do I respond to this kind of comment from the community, and how do you do it in a good way?
And if you look too in our code, some of our departments have older mission and vision statements. I know the police department recently, they have their own. They've recently done a body of work, and I know that police and a couple of his staff members were part of this process and spoke to their values and what they mean, and they're not the same as this, but they're cohesive, I think, Chief, and maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, we did this body of work about 5 years ago. Years ago when I first got here, ours was honor and integrity, but throughout our mission and vision statements, we talk about engagement. And so these values that we're looking at citywide really are a good umbrella for ours. And I think what my staff really brought forward was how important it has been for us to internalize and operationalize our values and our mission and vision. And so when we go out and we make decisions, when we're interacting with the community, it is bounded by service, honor, integrity, bounded by, we're working to reduce crime and the fear of crime, and our vision is to be amongst the best. It's really a rallying cry as they go out, and it guides them when they are working with members of the community. They can project that, and that it helps the community understand the why behind we do some of these things. Speak to Mr. Morrissey about growth and revitalization. The growth is going to happen, and you can use that body of work that all of us and our staff did to help explain why we are doing what we're doing. I think that can help connect us to the community a little bit better, right? All of us who have kids always got the why this, why that, and they had when they knew what the why was. So that's how we did it in the police department. It has completely changed a lot for us.
Yeah, and I would say I love the mission, right? I love the mission, deliver exceptional public service. So, and continuously improve our community. I really do like the mission. So I'm on board with the mission.
All right. Councilor.
Oh, yeah. I know Mark likes to go last, so I'll go before him. No, as a local government employee, my day job, I definitely understand that getting feedback, training, input from staff, trying to create a positive environment. You're not gonna have 105 go to the thing, but definitely every 6 months annually, staff can fill out a survey that tells how they feel about the work that they're doing, and I want to believe that usually most of those that come back are constructive, not just venting or whatnot. But I do think that the ones that you did have go, that leadership does start at the top. It does funnel down. So the ones that you had go, I'm sure it's super important, super productive, and they're going to bring that back to the staff and hold them accountable for it. And how you are out there in the public, which I am every single day at work, your tone matters. What you're delivering out there is, I mean, it's all over my vehicle. It's all over me. I'm a representation of representative of my employer, you know? So I think that what they did here, it does translate out to our city and our community in a really strong way. So.
And some of that survey work we do and was shared with Tim ahead of this body of work. So he could get kind of a flavor of the, culture.
Councilmember Warden said something. Does Ms. Lund add these things into the, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Into annual performance reviews? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think this is great. I like the vision and then also, and then the mission. I think city council can adopt some of this stuff. I think it'd be good.
I think there's an opportunity. We got a new council starting after the first of the year. And I think there's some relationship and team building stuff that I've been talking to Tim about and getting a proposal that I think could benefit us very much. And maybe some of this is incorporated into it, but I think there's some other work that, a retreat also, but there's also, I think, some work we can do to be a more cohesive group too. So, and I look forward to talking about that more in the new year. So, did you want to, Mr. Trey? Go ahead.
I've been trying.
Okay. Everybody's been jumping and
I haven't seen your hand go up.
I have a lot to say. No, Tim, thanks for presenting. I've been in business for 30 plus years. And I've lived through a couple of these. It sounds like from Councilmember Diener that he remembers 10 plus years ago, the city going through a similar process. 10 years is about max. It's good timing here to get refocused, and it's critical, I believe, to have the buy-in and have this being built, the framework of this being built by the employees here, or you won't get the buy-in that's going to be required to move forward in a positive manner. So I like it. I support it. Good job.
Great. That's great. Yep.
All right. We'll get this.
Yeah, these are really nice messages that you've come up with. I was more curious about the process of getting there. Do you have any concrete examples of maybe before and after, how attitudes changed before the process, or how interactions would change based on these, I guess, guidelines?
So before or after we develop these, or before and then after?
And after your process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see any contrast, or do you remember any anecdotes or examples as you got there?
The things that came up most in the survey that was done last year, the 2024 survey, the survey that I did to prepare here, there was lots of conversation around the need for improved communication, improved collaboration within teams primarily. Those were the biggest ones, and then also with the community. So that showed up a lot in the conversations. And so with working with Debbie, the HR director, and building out kind of the behaviors of that's where she'll have the ability to give people clear guidelines on service integrity and engagement. What does it actually mean from a behavior and an employee, and what are those expectations from it? So we should see and give people the opportunity to have a conversation, to be able to say, hey, Tim, one of our values is engagement. It means that we're going to have it done in a positive and respectful way. I'm not experiencing that right now. Can we talk about that? So that's the hope, is that we'll give people very actionable behaviors that they can demonstrate and be witnessed by other people.
Another question?
I just have a comment. I was going to follow up on your comment about what we plan on doing next year. One of the things that I'm personally excited for, but I think everybody should be excited for, is I've asked Charlie to consider some training on transparency. And so I think that'll be pretty exciting when she has a moment to put that together. What does that really mean in practice, right? We all have different ideas of what that means. But what does it mean from a legal perspective and a practical perspective, and what does the public expect out of that? So I think that'll be a part of the exciting new year opportunities as well.
Wasn't looking for any action tonight. I just thought it was just some phenomenal work, and I wanted to share it.
It's good.
What we're been working on behind the scenes.
Yep.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you being
Thank
here
you.
tonight.
Appreciate it.
All right, should we get to business? So we had a public hearing scheduled for this evening, and that petition for that vacation of right-of-way came to us about 3 years ago. And the county intended to build, at that time, build the parking lot in 2 phases. We didn't realize until very late in the game, and after we already noticed this, that the county intends to build the entire parking lot now and is under contract, I believe, with the remaining parcels. And so they want more right of way, a few more slivers of right of way that are in this petition. So the county last week asked us to pull this public hearing. They are withdrawn their petition, and they intend to submit a new petition after the first of the year that encompasses all of the right of way to build the entire parking lot and not just half of it. So just something that got caught at the 11th. You got to remember when this started, none of the county commissioners that we have now were in office. They have a new county administrator, and the staff is all different too in the administrative branch. So they really didn't know that they'd even submitted a petition to the city and what was on it. So anyway, just glad we caught it before we held the public hearing and vacated not enough property to complete the project. So this will be back. To our business items, first of which is item A, approval of an ordinance authorizing the finance director through the Office of the State Treasurer local programs. So, Mr. Crocker, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is an approval of an ordinance authorizing a financing contract with the State Treasurer's Office. So please recall that the city completed the acquisition of 1333 Lloyd Parkway back in October. Prior to our acquisition, this council declared its intent to reimburse itself from a future purchase, which will be funded from a future borrowing. So the city of Portrait will be utilizing a low-cost, tax-exempt financing program offered through the Washington State Treasurer's Office called Local. The Local program allows participants to access to national tax-exempt markets through a competitive bid process, regardless of their size of their financing. By pooling with the state's AA1 rated COP issuance, local participants are able to take advantage of the state's very low tax-exempt interest rates. Local governments participate in the program benefit from reduced financing costs in addition to the state's credit rating. The city will be borrowing $2.5 million over a 20-year term, with the sale to be scheduled in February 2026. Payments will be due semi-annually, with the first interest payment due June 1st, 26, followed by principal interest due December 1st of 2026, and repeat that pattern thereafter. I did want to comment because I did have a nice conversation with Councilmember Fenton. She had requested some more commentary on interest rates. And again, we talked about this a little bit last time. So the last interest rate that the state received was 3.9%. They have given me a range of 3.7 to 4.1%, which is approximately about $200,000 in debt service payments each year. Additionally, this is just a little technical nuancy, but the general fund was the fund that transferred money to our capital construction fund for the purchase. And so we made that purchase with those dollars. This will reimburse the general fund in this borrowing. So I think that was clear and an important point that she wanted me to get on record with the council.
Yeah, so the public can understand too. Thank you, Noah.
Yeah, with that, staff would recommend approval of the ordinance authorizing the financing contract.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the ordinance authorizing the execution of documents associated with the Office of the State Treasurer local program relating to the purchase of a parcel of real property located at 1333 Lloyd Parkway.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Morrissey, a second by Councilmember Fenton. Any questions for Mr. Crocker? I think he did a pretty good job explaining it. And Councilmember Trenary, go ahead.
Noah, can you explain in layman's terms the difference between a site lease and a financing lease?
Yeah, so the local program is a unique structured borrowing program with the state. So they are issuing what they call certificates of participation. And what that means to the investor is that the investor is participating in a stream of cash flow payments. So what we are doing, we are actually, since we own the property, we are leasing out the site to another organization, a third party called WFOA, who is also receiving other leases from other entities, and they are combining it to a master site lease agreement in order to create the financing structure
in order to lease it back to us under a financing lease. So it's a lease back structure. So it's very unique. It's very effective though for local governments that want to participate in getting these pooling programs, because our $2.5 million would be difficult for us to issue on our own and in our own bond issuance. If you think about our own last bond, it was about $11 million. $11 million you can get a market, but $2.5 million we cannot command the market. But we will be a participant in hopefully $80 to $100 million COP offering. So essentially that's what we're doing. We're leasing out our site so it can be leased back to us under a financing lease over a 20-year term in order to support the master financing lease and master site lease so they can sell cash flow streams to investors authorized under a certificate participation program.
Thanks. That's what I was kind of reading and assuming, but I wanted clarification on. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody's head spinning. Councilor Chang.
Can you just clarify, when you said debt service, that's not just interest only, that's interest and principal?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any further questions? All right, you'll be voting on an ordinance authorizing a finance contract for the Office of the State Treasurer's local program. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. The resolution or it's an ordinance? An ordinance. The ordinance passes. So item B, I understand two of our members are going to step out of the room for a moment as we conduct this piece of business. And that is approval of a lease agreement with Kitsap County for 730 Prospect Street. Ms. Archer, are you going to take this?
Yes, happy to. I will. Please let me know when they've exited.
They have exited.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, council, you'll recall that the city purchased the 730 Prospect Street property in 2023, and that purchase was made subject to an existing lease between the former owner and Kitsap County. The existing lease expires at the end of this year, and the mayor and staff have worked to negotiate a new lease with the county who would like to remain in the building. The county requested a 1-year term for the lease due to funding constraints, and the city negotiated favorable terms and conditions that would offset that 1-year term, which obviously puts the city in a bit of a bind as far as potential releasing. Under the terms of the lease, the rental rate is $95,700 for the year, and the tenant is responsible for utility costs. The city will maintain control and use of 8 parking stalls in the lot for use by city employees for that 1-year term. So this lease agreement has been reviewed by myself and legal counsel, and the recommendation from your staff is to authorize the mayor to execute this lease with Kitsap County for the 730 Prospect building.
And one correction, 6 of those stalls are for city vehicles and 2 of them are used by employees. But other than that, was that. Thank you for your staff report.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Trenary.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor or yourself to execute a lease with Kitsap County for the 730 Prospect building.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Trenary and a second by Councilmember Rosepepe. Is that who I heard? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any further questions? Hopefully we can get at least 1 more year out of the county on this. It was bumpy getting this year done, but we got there, and we'd like them to stick around for a few more years, but good before we're ready to use that building ourselves. So anyway, you'll be voting to approve a lease with Kitsap County for the 730 Prospect Street building. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the lease agreement has been approved, and we'll invite them back. Welcome back, gentlemen. All right, so we are to item C now, approval of a purchase with Civic Plus for city's website, public records request, and agenda management software. Ms. Wallace?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. So during the 2024 City Council retreat, it was discussed that an updated website was desired. And during the 2025 biannual budget process, staff presented to the City Council the need and cost for such service. In 2025, the clerk's office and IT department sought quotes from various website vendors. After assessing the needs, costs, and what each had to offer, staff is asking council for the approval to authorize the mayor to execute a contract with Civic Plus for a new website. Staff has obtained the vendor through the proper procurement process in that we will be piggybacking off of the GSA contract to allow for a more competitive pricing. This allows staff to save on the cost of this software. In addition, we discovered that the public record software is somewhat outdated and can be provided in a more streamlined process for city staff as well as the public. Also, in looking at the agenda management software, Civic Plus has the ability to incorporate the recordings of the council meetings and committee meetings to allow for the public to access all of the legislation at once, meaning the minutes, the recording packets, versus different sections of the website, and a few other features to benefit the staff, council, and the public. But by approving these purchases, it allows staff to continue on the path of council's goal to improve the communication efforts with the public in a more efficient and effective manner. With that, staff recommends approval of the purchase for these software programs for a new website, updated public records, and agenda management software as presented.
Councilmember Fenton.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Civic Plus to purchase software for a new city website and update public records and agenda management software in an amount not to exceed $55,960, including tax, as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Fenton, a second by Councilmember Diener. Questions for Ms. Walls? Councilmember Chang, go ahead.
I was curious why the second year costs seem so high relative to the first year. And what are the costs in subsequent years, assuming that it works further than 2 years? Is there a fee for the third and later years?
Correct. So I believe it will 5 to 8% annual increase. That's just for the maintenance of the software program itself, and that's continual. That's standard from most software programs that I have experienced, not just within my department, but other departments as well. So as you recall, the council allocated $50,000 for the website. I already have a budget of $8,750 for the agenda management software. And then I have also budgeted $5,800 for the public records software. So when you combine those together for 2026 and 2027, it'll be somewhat neutral. In that, because I have a bundled package of the additional software programs, trying to figure out how I'm going to say this here. Might be a little bit easier if I pull up the quote. So as Councilmember Chang alluded to, it's $51,000 for this year, $42,000 for year 2. The bulk of the cost is one-time implementation fee, which is the training program itself, getting all of the data into the system, transferring it out from the current to the new. The website will move down to $16,000. So that's a cost savings there. Because of the agenda meeting management and the next requests are a little bit more expensive with this software, with this agency, but because I've already budgeted for 2026, the 13,000, it will only be 6,000 for 2026 for the 2 additional software programs. And then my intent was to, when we hit the biennial budget process for the next 2 years, to adjust for that. So the next 2 years, it's a cost neutral, and then after that, it will be up. But I think that once we get the program in there, you'll see it's more beneficial to the public and staff.
It'd be nice to have one cohesive piece of software doing all of these functions versus multiple vendors and softwares. Go ahead, Councilmember Diener.
Thank you. I'm sure you went through the vendor selection process. There were presentations made, and are you able to articulate for council and listeners the current experience versus the expected experience users will have with the new program?
So for the website, most of the benefits will be, it'll be more searchable. So right now we don't have a robust search feature. It's somewhat hit and miss. So it's my understanding that all of that will be more searchable. The city of Bremerton uses Civic Plus for their website. So if you've ever gone to the city of Bremerton, it's going to be very similar to that. There is the ability to, when they do the search features, it will auto-populate what they think. The system will auto-populate a response to what the search feature is. So for example, if they go to our website and they type in marriage licensing, behind the scenes we'll have embedded into the system, are you looking to obtain a marriage license? You need to contact Kitsap County, and then it'll provide the county's information because the city doesn't do that. So those types of things, the Q&A will be more robust. The council meeting minutes, agendas, audio recording will be all on one page. They won't have to go into a different section of the website to house all of those documents. It'll all be just on one page. There's a component of multiple, right now we use Constant Contact for people to sign up for a listserv of certain topics. That's all embedded into this website, so they can, any part of the website, they can sign up to get notified, similar to our updated municipal code. So it's very similar, but it's website based. So those are some of the features. I think it'll give it a more cleaner look. So those are just some of the options there. Our public records request software. Right now, everybody has to create a login and a password to even put in a request. This new platform just allows them to go in and post it and request it without a login and a password, so they'll have more access to the records. And it has more ability for us to post most commonly asked public records requests. So those are just some small examples of what is to come, I think.
Thank you. I was also interested in the records requests and how that was going to be improved, but thank you very much. It sounds great.
And we'll internally, we have to do somewhat of a manual process to redact or withhold records. And so this software program will allow us to withhold and redact within the program itself without a more complex process, including the police department will be able to do their redaction according to their they're called the body cams. So yeah.
Remember, we've got a new employee coming too, and this is going to be their first big project, is the content that we put on this website, so that it's the ground running. So, and I'm excited. We have nearly 100 we're screening nearly 100 applications for that communications position. So we're not going to interview 100 people. So
and streamlines processes internally, meaning that when we make posts, we have to post to Facebook, and then we have to post to the website, and we have to post to Constant Contacts. Well, this will manage where we can implement one post and it'll post the platforms all at once versus individually. So it will really streamline our process internally.
That's great. That is great.
Councilmember Trey?
So it's kind of like a keyword redaction, you know, where you
Yes.
it'll be programmed into
Yes.
the public records redactions.
Yes.
It's nice.
The OCR, it's search, so we can put in somebody's name or driver's license number, or social security number, and it'll pull it up. It'll know to redact it.
That'll be really helpful. I expect according to the contract, they're going to be responsible for data transferring and implementation. Any idea? They didn't mention any type of a time frame, how long this is expected or projected to take.
So my plan is 3 to 6 months, basically, for all 3 software programs. The website, they said probably about 3 months. It just depends on how much my staff has to work with them. And then there's going to be some IT stuff that behind the scenes, and then extracting that data. And we have to determine how are we going to store it into the new program, store it ourselves, hasn't met the retention. So
a time frame where we may be running side by sides.
I'm going to say by the summertime. That's my goal. Yeah. So you'll see the old site continue as we work, and then once we go live, it'll switch.
Thank you.
So, but I will absolutely give you guys updates.
All right. Go ahead,
I have a
Councilmember.
quick question. Are you still using constant contact for email, I guess, updates? And does that give you the ability to send out text alerts?
Not text alerts, just email distribution list. I will have to look to see if the website component has text messaging. I don't think it does. It might be an additional module that we just didn't go down that path, but I'll look into that a little bit further, but I think it's just email.
All right. Any further questions? All right. You'll be voting on the approval of a purchase with Civic Plus for city's website, public records request, and agenda management software. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the contract has been approved. We're to our added item, which was item D, to establish a committee related to 2.4, section 2.04 of our code related to council meetings. Sounds like an ad hoc committee.
It is an ad hoc
And,
committee.
and,
It
and
has-
in our past, I don't believe we can do this by resolution, but
Well, that's, yeah, and that's what Charlie recommended.
has done those things, but Councilmember Rose Pepe, you wishing to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion, Mayor, thank you. Move to adopt a resolution establishing a council committee to review.
I think it's an
Okay.
ad hoc committee. It's not
Okay,
just a-
okay.
it's not a-
Ad hoc committee to review, make recommendations, recommended changes to chapter 2.04 council meetings.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right, you were the motion maker. I don't, go ahead.
No, I would ask that we consider this on a short-term basis. I've heard expressed frustration in some cases. There's been some new ideas that it'd be a good time for a ad hoc committee to, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback, so, on that, to take a look at what other cities do. I'm not recommending by any stretch of imagination one city which has 30 pages of how they govern themselves, but I think we could expand a little bit and clarify some of the ones that we have. And since, quite frankly, the council has undergone a major change and will continue to change, I think it might be a good time to look at it. That's my 2 cents worth.
Historically, we've named those council members to move that along. Is that the intent here this evening too, or?
No, actually, when we sign up for committees in January, that would
It
be,
doesn't sound like an ad hoc committee.
well, then we could do it.
Because that's your purpose.
We could, Charlie?
Archer, you have.
Yep.
Sorry, I can answer that question. I was actually raising my hand about the procedure, but the council can create an ad hoc committee or a standing committee that is assigned a position for a term, so that we could create the committee for the calendar year 2026, if that's the intent. My comment was going to be there is no actual draft resolution, so the action would simply be by motion. We recommend resolutions to ferret out the scope of the committee. However, I think the council member clearly articulated that this evening. So the motion could just be modified to be a motion to establish the committee for a term of the calendar year 2026.
Okay, and then it'd be selected in the council committee selection process. Okay, it's clear to me now.
And just for clarification, and Charlie, unless that's an issue, we did a draft resolution, and so we established it for 6 months to report back.
I apologize. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I got a question. Councilmember Diener, go ahead.
I just was wondering if the maker of the motion might want to talk about some of the scope issues that we would be discussing, or the people on that committee might be discussing.
Well, I would like to hope that the three committee members would survey council members, take a look at what some of the recommendations are. Much like our committees take a look at, on land use or stuff, where we look at something, have questions, come back, take a look what other best practices are, and bring those forward to to the whole council. That's why it's a kind of a limited to 6 months. And, so it doesn't keep getting pushed down the road. I have my own, one of my personal ones, just to let you know, is I would like to see something or a consideration that a member could serve on a committee for 4 years straight, but then would need to come off a committee to go to another committee to give them depth and breadth through the whole, all the committees. Because sometimes you get, it's an idea.
Mhm.
And if people don't like it, I'm okay with that. Remember what I've said, John. Whatever the council decides, regardless of how I vote, I always support it. And, Scott asked me what an idea would be. So this is kind of like looking at how we're going to operate and move forward.
So there's two things quick. I don't think you can do a survey. I think that's an OPMA violation. And then two, I don't think you can do a 4 years because a council only convenes for 2 years. So it wouldn't logistically.
Well,
You're talking about term limits,
term limits on a committee is what, the.
2 2-year terms.
Anyway, that doesn't need to be ferreted out tonight, a yea or nay. It's whether we want to establish a committee to look at our operating procedures. That's the bottom line.
All right, Councilmember Fenton.
Is this kind of along the lines to like maybe bylaws, or putting this all together for this new committee?
It's putting how we operate. Yes, I mean, I wouldn't call them bylaws. I mean, it's within the POMC.
Mhm. Okay, no, I was just kind of clarifying. a
No,
little
yeah,
bit.
I mean, you could.
If I may rephrase your question,
Uh-huh.
would this committee result in perhaps some bylaws for the council to consider?
Yeah, there you
It
go.
wouldn't be bylaws. That's the wrong term. So it'd be operating procedures.
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Would be a better.
Yeah, it's a nice way of looking at it.
Okay.
I gotta look this one up. Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second to establish an ad hoc committee that the members would be appointed in the committee process. And it sounds like this committee is intending to exist for 6 months and report back to the council their findings. That's what I gathered. Is that inaccurate? All right.
That's correct.
All right. There's no further questions. All in favor of adding that committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that passes. We don't have any discussion items. Presentation. We've got Councilmember Chang. You have been with us. I just want to take a moment to recognize you for your 20 years of service as a council member. Fred and I started our journey in public service more than 20 years ago when we both signed up to serve on the planning commission, him probably a couple of years even before I. Fred, you've always been a voice for the disenfranchised and the underdog, and I respect you for those values that you hold there. I wish you the best in the next chapter of your life. So I've got black for you, but I'm going to hold off presenting that just in case anybody else has some words they'd like to share this evening. So Councilmember Chair, you're going to go first.
Please. Okay. Well, I just want to thank Fred for your long-standing service to the city and to our citizens. I appreciate Fred for a lot of things. A great and interesting perspective on things when I've chatted with him about things that are coming across the dais off of the agendas. His viewpoints caused me to pause and think about where I'm coming from and why I'm coming from those positions. And again, as the mayor said, he's a champion for those underprivileged in our community here. And for that, I thank you greatly.
Here.
Councilor Dean.
Fred, I want to thank you for your representation of the houseless community and those with similar needs. There's been no doubt in my mind that you've been committed to the betterment of the city of Port Orchard the whole time I've known you. I really appreciate that. You've asked some great questions over the years. Often I've wished I'd thought of that first or had an idea of what to ask, and you've been right in there. And so I'm going to miss your role as a council member and want to know what you're going to do with your newfound time.
Councilmember Rose.
Actually, I had a discussion with Fred this week, and I hope we're not seeing the last of Fred. I've asked him to come in to talk and during citizen comment period to give us his voice and weigh in on items. So we'll be able to hear those thoughts a little bit clearer and with unfiltered. So I do want to say also thanks to Fred because well, we've talked about all the good work that he's done. Seeing him down working with all his initiatives with the homeless truly is commendable with the cleanup and your continued advocacy for everyone in Port Orchard, regardless of where you stand. So thank you, Fred.
Councilmember Morrissey, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank Fred for being a welcoming face, right? As being one of the new faces here on council, you greeted us with open arms and a smile on your face and lent your ear and any assistance you could give us to be as effective as we can. I applaud you for making Port Orchard a more welcoming place on many fronts. And I think I'll just leave it with I felt that coming onto this council, and I appreciate you giving me that welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna for sure double down on what John just said because you were extremely welcoming. Any questions that we had, you know, you lend us your ear and told us kind of how things really work, you know, how things really work on council and help someone like myself come on to it with a little bit more confidence. You know, I appreciate you. I wrote down some notes on the plane today when I was coming here, but I said like, I'll miss Fred's contribution on dais, but even more, I'll miss his kindness and ability to see the big picture. Fred understands that the heart of Port Orchard is its people. While council seats may change, the needs, hopes, and dreams of our citizens for a safe, welcoming community do not. He brought issues to light, and it's our responsibility to continue that work, especially in supporting less fortunate and ensuring public dollars addressing homelessness and addiction are used wisely. I said Fred also does something I wish more elected officials would do. He walks the city that he represents. With his feet on the ground, eyes open, he notices areas of concern while remaining approachable and engaged to the public. He takes time to say hello, listen, interact with residents and business owners. Those are things that people tell me. I don't stalk you. So I do appreciate, you know, I hope you know that people out there really do appreciate all that you do on your walks when you're out there, having your small businesses that you have in town, multiples of them, and giving back to our community. It's greatly appreciated. So I appreciate you leading by example. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very well said, Eric. I really appreciate, I've only been working with you the last 2 years, but I really appreciate your camaraderie and being able to call you up and if I miss your call, you call me right back. And you're positive too when we're going over the agenda. And I'm going to miss not calling you on the, you know, and asking questions or, hey, what do you think, you know, on the agenda. So that was very personable to me. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I didn't plan a speech because I know we all like short meetings, but I would like to say that I have enjoyed working with each of you, both the council mayor and the staff. I was thinking today that my journey started on the planning commission, and that actually started because a planner had a tour of the city, and I went on the tour with other planning commissioners before I was one of them, and we got to see some of the developments we liked and some that we didn't like. You could call this, I guess, the remorse tour, but it was actually very, very appealing to me. I have enjoyed talking to different people. I also would say that I really admire the staff because they are often the unsung heroes. Because, you know, it's like as electeds, we want to be, of course, as friendly as we can to the people we talk to. And the people who told them no are actually the staff. You know, they're the ones who are telling them about the rules, about the laws. And it's a fine balance because, you know, we respect the staff, we create the laws, I guess, or we fine tune them. And yet we depend on them to often explain it better to people than I can. I know that a lot of people, for example, were concerned about, I guess, the cottage that I built in my backyard, and they actually expected one of the yellow signs because they thought, you know, there was an impact. And I thought, well, you should talk to planning. And then I thought, well, the answer really is if something is allowed, we don't put up those yellow signs. We only put them up if it's conditional or there's something that needs further input. And I thought, you know, I obviously hadn't thought of that answer because I was, you know, but I admire the staff who had to do that, and they explained it very nicely. I also really, I think everyone here has been professional about very rarely to never losing their temper. And but also being very genuine. So I've had a very wonderful experience here, and I probably will come back, but as a citizen, as a non-voting member, but as a citizen with opinions. So thank you. It's been fun working with you.
Frank,
Appreciate it.
Brett, I'm going to hobble over there. Oh, that's this black to you.
A round of applause.
You know, when you think about it, Councilman Chang, your service to our community is like a child, right? It's older than mine, who's off in college. So that's a long time. Good job.
And Heidi, you can still call.
And he's not one of four, so you're not violating any.
Yeah, I can go to the coffee with council anytime.
Anytime.
Like that.
All right, let's get this meeting wrapped up.
Yes.
So we've gotten to, I don't believe any council committee have met in the last couple of weeks, so I'm gonna forego that. I got,
LTAC meets tomorrow.
LTAC meets tomorrow, John tells me. So we've mayor's report, I got a couple of things that are important to share with you. As you're probably aware, I serve on our insurance risk pool, RMSA. They recently held elections. I have to actually be elected to that board. And here recently, I sat for election again and was reelected for 2 more years. And I was informed of that at our board meeting 2 weeks ago. Biggest change from our board meetings. We struggle with small cities that don't comply with our member standards, that don't have an IT department, that don't have any any cyber security protections, that don't have good fiscal management policies, and have fraud claims quite frequently and other things. So that what we voted in was that our standards now won't have mays in them, they'll have shalls, and to qualify for our insurance coverage has 0 deductible, and there's going to be 3 tiers now in your coverage, and if you are following the standards, you will qualify for that 0 deductible plan. And if you aren't, then you're going to have to pay a small deductible because there needs to be some skin in the game because otherwise they don't make change and they just rely on the insurance to solve their problems. You're going, so it'll have 3 different tiers and they grow pretty significantly, all the way to the 4th offense not having coverage, which would be unfortunate for anyone. And this would be over a 10-year period. So it has a set 10-year sunset on it. But that will be coming, those we'll have to pass by resolution because many times our insurance too finds out that, we have a fabulous finance department and we talk about these things that councils don't know these things and there isn't the oversight. So we'll be bringing forward a resolution codifying what these standards are and make sure that all the council members that are in our pool are aware of what these standards are, so there's no surprises. So we're the largest member of our pool. We're one of the, more functional cities, I believe out there. And we meet all of these standards. There won't be any concerns with us at all. And then this is much smaller communities than us that just don't have the staff that we have to meet these standards. So they won't be optional any longer. They'll be requirements. So Councilmember Diener.
So, Mr. Mayor, I mentioned, I don't know if it was last week or in November, that when we get good news stories, like how we're meeting all of these, we should publish those.
Yeah.
When we get good news emails, we should publish those or read those out. But I think this would be good for post and getting the news out that in this insurance pool, we're at the top.
Yeah. I don't know that they'd be comfortable with us making statements like that.
Well, I think you know what I'm trying to say.
I hear you.
We need to toot our own horn.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right, moving on. I've got the old Clifton Intertie. We're working on that design. That is our legislative ask for $1 million. And I just need to communicate with you. Dennis has been working hard on the forms that we need to have submitted in Olympia. But the expectation is that they're the last dollars in, and it is our plan to borrow that money. And I just want to, shout that from a mountain here that, it's $5 million project, we think. 4 million, we hope to bring that down to less than that. This project is in our capital plan. It is funded 75% with gross share and 25% from our ratepayers. And I've talked to Noah about that. We can support that debt service payment. We just want to make that payment smaller by going and getting those dollars from the legislature if we're able. So, and I don't think I need to talk all night about the importance of the intertie and why we need to connect our two systems together. So, yeah, yes, sir.
Can I point out a learning I had earlier this week?
What's that?
That intertie still leaves everyone north of Old Clifton off of the city's water. I don't know how I missed that in any way, shape, or form, but I did. So if any of you followed my logic, however I got there, it was incorrect.
So whichever city you live in, Port Orchard or Bremerton, Old Clifton Road is the divider. Everything north of Old Clifton is Bremerton's water system and will continue to be. We're just separate. Right now, we're a combined water system, so the water moves back and forth. So that we're separating those two systems. And if you're anybody in that entire area, though, if you're a sewer customer, even north of Old Clifton, you're a City of Port Orchard sewer customer. Right. So it's it's complicated who provides what service out there.
Especially with Bremerton Water.
So my last item is we're going to do a dedication and a little ceremony recognizing Red Lubston. The Lubston family, built our industrial park. That family sold us the building. We're going to put a plaque on the building and name the building after him. Mm-hmm. And he knows that. He's going to come. So January 7th, if you're available, it's 9 to 11. We're going to do an open house, and probably around 9:30. We're going to do a little, ceremony. We'd love for you guys to be able to see the building if you're available, want to walk around the building. We won't have moved in yet, but we'll be darn close. I think mid to late in the month, we'll have furniture and people in there, but we're getting close. Fiber was brought in. We're working on the network stuff, here recently. Christmas got in the way. We did a lot of Christmas. That's all I have. Directors, Mr. Ryan, what you got?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So just an update, we've had some transitions with our engineering team. We have a vacancy currently that we're advertising for. We still have an engineer who's been deployed for over a year that we're hoping that returns back in February. And then we will have another person in the engineer, a critical position that will go on family leave, planned family leave. So we are currently reviewing statement of qualifications. Our plan is to bring a consultant that will be part-time in the office. This will be funded by the savings that the city's not paying for that current vacancy, that deployed individual, and the person that will be using family leave. There'll be no additional funds needed for budget. They'll be budget neutral, but it'll be coming in front of this board for approval. We anticipate the fill of vacancies is going to take probably several months with the current market. So just to keep you in the loop. The next thing is that we are closely following this weather that's been hitting the region and state. Port Orchard right now hasn't had any significant or major flooding issues. We are keeping a close eye on that, and if it's we encounter anything, we will track that and submit that to the state. The state currently is in the process because this will become an emergency. It is an emergency event. So if there's any funds available, every county adds up to what's needed for repayment and recovery. So that's all I had tonight. Thank you.
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Nothing for me either tonight.
I had a question for Nick, for DCD. How's your staffing? Do you have any vacancies?
The only vacancy is the position that was funded in the budget, which we are recruiting for a building inspector, plans examiner 3. And so we have accepted some applications, and I believe there's at least a few viable candidates potentially. So we're interviewing and hope to be fully staffed early next year.
Thank you.
And we have the engineering opening. We just posted, as a matter of fact, today. It was a recent change that created that opening. So, Mr. Crocker?
No, he's
You
said no.
busy? Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were yapping away.
I got nothing for tonight. Thank you, sir.
We're on break about.
Okay, we already went to Mr. Bond.
We're on.
Chief, how about you?
Yeah, I just wanted to,
I'm lost.
I just want to give a quick shout out to the team downstairs. We were invited to the Seth Kitsap Chamber Awards Banquet last Thursday, and the police department won their or was awarded their Excellence in Service and Leadership Award. That is in recognition of our exceptional service and inspiring leadership that enhances public safety and enriches the lives of our residents. So over the last year, we've really invested a lot of time, both in our professional staff and our commission staff, and doing a lot more community outreach. We did some reading programs over the summer. We're at all of the main events, not just to provide public safety, but also to engage. And then, of course, we, with the city, we raised about 5,800 pounds of food for Helpline. And talking to Jennifer, the reason that they were able to have their stores stocked was because of the drive that the city did and our stuff, the patrol car. So it was very, very honored to be there and accept that. So I thought I'd share that.
Congratulations.
Excellent work, Chief. They said they served the most they've ever served last month, and 4,500 people. So thank you for the team and that. And then congratulations to Deputy Chief Andy Brandon. He's leaving right after the first of the year. What a great honor for him and our department. So thank you for investing in his future.
Yeah, just so you guys know what Councilmember Morrissey is talking about. So the FBI National Academy is a 10-week program. It's one of the top 3 in the country. It's invitation only. And Andy was invited. The department has never had anyone attend the National Academy in its history. January 1st of 1941, we've never had anybody attend. His relationships and what he has done with the department and the community. He was working with FBI ASAC, and they ran into each other at a training in Oregon, and the guy said, "Hey, I noticed that no one's ever gone. I have a spot. You want to go?" And so he will leave first week of January, and we'll see him again in March.
Wow, we'll miss him.
And I too want to commend the police department, and they did knock it out of the park with the fill the patrol car, but the entire city hall did a phenomenal. I mean, we raised, I don't know, how did they tell us how many pounds?
Yeah, combined citywide is 5,811.
Yeah, pounds of food. And it doesn't stop there. If you notice the Christmas tree and the gifts, our Veronica and our Public Works Department has spearheaded that. Every child on that tree has a gift, and that's just great. Those gifts are heading out to those families tomorrow. And walk into the back room and look at the gingerbread houses.
Oh my
back
gosh,
there.
those are
Phenomenal.
amazing.
We're going to get those out in the lobby and share those on Facebook. The planning department, normally the engineers always win this thing, and this year the planning department.
I thought it was the permitting.
Yeah,
Is that the planning and permitting?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's DCD. Yeah, the Carlisle. I mean, it looks just like the boat, man. I mean, that's incredible. So anyway, we'll get those pictures out on
Yeah.
out in the community here soon. So Brandy?
Mine's more of a good of the order. So I'm going to share a photo of a former employee's son, as well as a current resident of the city of Port Orchard and South Kitsap high school student has won. Nick would probably know more about what this actually is than I do, so I'm going to have
So yeah, this is Rhiannon Fernandez's kid, Gabe Fernandez. He won the NCAA college championship last night. UW beat NC State, and I believe he played 80 minutes. And this is his second big trophy in a row. Last year, he played for a team in Vermont and also won a collegiate level trophy. So pretty exciting to have a national champion from our community.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it
awesome.
this is his first year or second year?
I believe he's a sophomore
Yeah.
at UW.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. They went up 2-0 and then dropped 2 goals, and then we went into overtime. So
And then there was a video review of the winning goal
Yeah.
after they had snatched the
So they
trophy and were in a
actually-
dog pile. So it was suspenseful.
Yeah.
it was.
That's great.
Played soccer with him for a little while.
Cool stuff. Brandy, what else do you have to share? Nothing?
That's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Archer, you got anything for good of the order?
Just a reminder, I'll be doing my standard trainings either January or February. And as Councilmember Diener mentioned, I will include transparency in that, those standard trainings, OPMA, PRA. If there's any other issues or topics you'd like me to emphasize, just reach out and let me know, and I can tailor that training to benefit those issues. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Charlie. All right, and we're to our second citizen comment period. The 2 gentlemen sitting here all night. They don't want to share anything with us, I guess. Huh? No? All right, well, thank you for being here. Anybody online, just use the raise your hand feature and the clerk will bring you into the meeting. And I see no hands raised, so I'm going to close the citizen comment period. Anything good of the order besides happy holidays, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen?
I've got 3 things.
Go ahead.
The first is last Thursday, I had the privilege to walk around downtown. Trees are just fantastic with the lighting. I also wanted to commend Dennis and staff. I walked over by the new pump station and it's nice. I mean, it really does fits in well. And I was really impressed with the overlook, how that looks. So spent some time just looking at the shipyard. Last week, I talked about land acknowledgement, posting something on our website. I don't know if that got out or not. It did.
It did.
It's probably, since it looks like our retreat's going to be sooner than later, I would ask that that be added as a retreat topic. Gives us something to ponder for a while. And lastly, I wanted to address a recent announcement about holding a quarterly town hall at McCormick Woods. While I support expanding public engagement opportunities such as coffee with council, this proposal should have come to the full council first. Announcing it publicly before there was any discussion or agreement on participation, timing, or format puts the council in a reactive position and is not an effective way to build consensus. Creating an event that may involve only a subset of council members, regardless of whether it's at McCormick Woods or downtown at Josephine's, is problematic and unnecessarily divisive. Public forums like this should be inclusive by default, not selectively organized. If these meetings are intended to include presentations or discussions on specific issues, it is also important that the mayor and/or the appropriate department heads be involved. Otherwise, we risk providing incomplete information or unintentionally spreading misinformation. Finally, the city has the budget to cover meeting space. Individual council members should not be personally funding public events. To be clear, I support the concept of regular town halls. However, this needs to be coordinated through the full council, open to all council members, and structured in a way that reflects shared ownership rather than a unilateral initiative.
That it for good of the order? For you?
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about a topic like that, I would say, at what point do you draw the line? At what point is having coffee with another council member need to be put out to the rest of the rest of council to make those decisions? If it were an official city event, such as something that Coffee with Council became, I could understand those comments, but I would respectfully disagree with everything that was just said.
Councilor Dean?
Well, I'd like to attend if we have something like that, because McCormick, we're not geo-specific council members. And I think it's a big part of the community, and so I'd like to be invited to those.
So.
Yeah.
Councilmember Ward?
Yeah, I think, I just find it really interesting that when I first thought of Coffee with Council, I got pushback saying, council is 15 hours a month. That's all I'm given. Don't expect more from me than that. That's what was said to me. Okay. You don't have to attend. Then John and myself want to literally have something for our neighborhood. Our neighborhood. I couldn't imagine
asking permission to go to somebody else's neighborhood meeting.
Talk to my neighbors. The McCormick community where I live and I represent as a neighbor, and I'm on city council. I'm not asking permission. I'm not asking permission from anybody to talk to my neighbors. Jay and myself are invited to our HOA meetings as council members. It's in the email as council members, and we're the only people specifically invited to the HOA meetings. And do we attend? Yes. Why? And we actually answer city questions. Why? Because those are our neighbors. And that's what we do. We engage with our neighbors. If Heidi's street, her neighbors want to have a meeting or want to know about upcoming road closures or projects or accomplishments or why there's no property taxes or there's update them on our sewer, no sewer increases on our residents or gone down, highlights. Why would we not want to share that with our neighbors? And if I want to pay out of my pocket to have the venue because my neighborhood is large, I'm going to pay the fee that hosts that because that's what I'm giving my neighbors. I couldn't imagine. My thing is this. Why don't we get some people that are creative and come up with some things and I'll attend too. But the amount of pushback for trying to communicate with the public is pretty wild to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to for sure speak to my neighbors. And if I want to give a presentation, I mean, this so heads up, we're going to have a member of the school board who's going to be there too, who lives in our neighborhood. That's how school boards are elected, is by your zone that you live in. And she's going to attend too, in case they have some questions to her. Yeah, it's our neighborhood bringing people together. And that's how it's going to be.
And that's our job.
So that's my take on it.
Before Miss Archer's raised your hand here, Mr. Attorney, you raised your hand. Would you like to go before the attorney?
Go ahead.
Miss Archer, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the one legal question that I heard, which is if a quorum of the council attends, then we do need to notice it as either as a quorum or as a potential public meeting if city business is being conducted. So if there are council members, even if they're individually speaking, then it does need to be noticed as a public meeting. So if the intent is, what I've seen in other agencies is if there's going to be an event that's specific to a neighborhood, the council collectively says, we will refrain from going to this event if it's going to be neighborhood specific, or it's open to the whole council. So I think the legal advice when you're holding sort of an informal town hall is just coordinating up front as to avoid that quorum issue and making the clerk sort of scramble at the last minute. I don't believe that was the intent here at all, but I just heard a question about quorum present and council members wanting to attend. So I just wanted to offer that.
No quorum. No, others want to attend. So, Councilor Turner.
Charlotte, I have a question for you. Can you clarify the difference between Well, let me phrase it to you this way. If there's an agenda and a presentation made by a council member, is that an informal program? Or is that more of a formal program?
I don't think that's necessarily a legal question. I've seen, the King County council members, for example, they routinely hold town halls where they will present in their districts. And so that's formal in one sense, but it's also just one individual elected presenting to their community. I think to your question, what I was positing is to the extent a quorum wants to be present at a meeting, then that's when we trigger sort of that formal noticing process. But if a quorum does not want to be present, and if the quorum decides that a particular event is neighborhood specific, as in the King County example, then the body decides this event is off limits as to any more than 3 people. That's typically how I see it handled. Otherwise, we run the risk again of a quorum. So informal versus formal, those terms to me are not have no legal significance. It's more the noticing requirements under the OPMA that are based on quorum and whether action is going to be taken. Discussion is action.
That's for Trey.
So I fully support community engagement, public engagement, town halls. We've had discussions here. And in fact, I have it on my notes for our retreat to push town hall meetings along a little farther, because I think it's important for us to hear from the public directly in a less formal setting than the council. I don't like the way this program has been initiated. The body of the council was not made aware of it. I hadn't heard anything.
Why would I ask you about my
not a
neighborhood?
Point of order, please. Councilmember, please finish it.
Making lots of friends here tonight. Joe.
Councilmember Trainer has the floor.
Thank you. So I believe that if we're going to go to town hall meetings or to community meetings, the city should also be involved in this, because we are discussing city business. It's not like a coffee with council, in my opinion. And this is just my opinion. Coffee with council is very informal. This sounds to be much more of a little bit more of a formal program. But had I been asked, I would like to attend this as well, to answer questions and get feedback from our citizens in McCormick Woods.
Councilmember Dean?
So what grabbed my initial attention was that this was being called a town hall, and it sounds like it's not being called a town hall. So I'm okay with that. So I'll retract my comments about town hall. Nonetheless, I too would like to attend and just hear what constituents have to say. But I'm not hearing that necessarily yet that you're opposed to others' attendance.
No.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I'm not, you asked me a question. I'm not opposed to others attending. What I'm opposed to is people stepping up and creating communication, especially with their neighborhood. And people are so appalled by something like that. That's kind of one of the, Jay's appalled, Mark's disappointed. My thing is I don't understand why people would push back on someone wanting to update them on basically an agenda that's put out there. I mean, minutes that are put out there, and we're just sharing it, and we're keeping these guys' nights right here. And we're sharing an agenda. We're sharing things that with our neighbors. I don't understand why that's an issue. I also don't understand why people who live in McCormick, I invited Jay, John and myself, who live in our neighborhood, why we can't engage with our neighbors. We're not telling them anything that's not already been discussed, approved, voted on.
Councilmember Morrissey?
Yeah, I would like to say that it's something that you too could also do. There's a fee to rent out that room. There's nothing stopping any other council members from organizing and paying that fee to be able to have a similar conversation with whatever audience you so wish to choose. I would hope that a council member would want to hear from the public, would want to engage. I'm saddened and a little bit upset to hear that someone doesn't want those type of activities happening. And so I just want to make sure that we provide another avenue, right? I can't make it to many things. I am the immediate past chair of the Greater Kitsap Chamber. I helped host their gala last Friday. Every second Tuesday of the month, they host an after hours, and I can't go. So for just similar reasons like that, we'd like to host another opportunity for somebody who can't show up on a Tuesday night, who may not be able to go to a Saturday morning meeting, because I wouldn't be able to do that on either of those nights because I have a prior obligation here on Tuesdays. I make time because I find it that important that I take time away and use my time away from work to attend Coffee with Council, because we decided as a group that's when that's going to be. That doesn't work with my schedule because I work 50 out of 52 Saturdays a year. So we're trying to create an opportunity for the folks in the neighborhoods that, let's be honest, we do represent. I hear from my neighbors, there's 167 parcels in McCormick Meadows. And I talk with them regularly, but I don't know my neighbors in the village and the trails and over at in the woods and across the street there at the Ridge. So we'd like to create an opportunity. Maybe nobody shows up, but it's something that we spitballed and said, here, let's go give it a try and let's be neighborly. So that's all we're trying to do here is be neighborly. We're not sharing, as Councilmember Warden said, we're not sharing industry secrets, and we're just trying to be better neighbors.
Councilmember Rose Pepe.
Well, first of all, we represent all of Port Orchard. We just don't represent McCormick Woods, McCormick Meadows, or any other place. We represent everybody. What drew my ire was the fact that it was already announced that it was quarterly.
Yeah.
Council members weren't invited. Nope, that's right. It was selective. And that, to me, is saying you're being divisive and cutting some people out. We have been, there are it's HOA that has, it's not a true HOA, but down in Tracington, who has said, hey, we'd like to possibly have some council members come. We haven't heard back from them, but we've let them know that we'd be more than glad when they announce it to bring it to council to have representation there. When we do the HOA, we put that out to all the council members, Eric, that the HOA is meeting, that McCormick Woods HOA is meeting. I put that out there.
I haven't seen it.
I put that out in our minutes and I'll find it.
Okay.
Okay. And stuff, because it's important that if you can make it, please attend. So I'm not against this. I'm not against having other avenues of transparency, communication, however you want to do it. I don't want us to exclude other members of council because we represent everyone, not just a district. That's it.
Councilmember Peters, maybe try to wrap this up.
So I think Heidi was ahead of me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw your hand.
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of thinking out of the box. I like, it's all about communication and transparency. I see your point, Jay, but I like the way you guys are kind of thinking of another avenue for transparency and communication.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is there's not really opposition to others attending. It's just a matter of now we got to notice it. Right? That's what it comes down to.
We have to do it now.
Notice if there's a quorum or greater present, right?
Correct. It would have to be noticed as a public meeting.
The goal was not to create a quorum, so that's why there was a selective.
So
okay. But
the question, council member's question is welcome to come, are other council members welcome to attend? And if so,
When there's not a quorum.
we're not welcome to attend. Say that again? When there's not a quorum?
So there-
John and myself can work, we can work council members in there. Yeah, we can work one at a time in there. Yeah. So everyone gets an opportunity to.
But if a quorum is present, you're opposed to that.
I can get it. It's for the same reason that we do that for Coffee with Council. I mean, do we want all 7 of us coming every Saturday to Coffee with Council?
But I don't,
I mean, we could just change that.
yeah, I'm not sure. I guess I'd have to think about that, but I'm not sure it's quite the same. But as you kind of described it earlier yourself, but I just, I want to feel like we're able to attend if we want to. And I'm not sure I'll always want to, but if we want to attend, we shouldn't be excluded, even if there's a quorum.
So how will you get your invitation? Because this isn't an open invite to everybody in the city of Port Orchard either.
Okay.
So that's why we didn't roll that out to the rest of council as well, because it was going to be intended to be put out in groups within the McCormick area.
So we're not invited.
There will be times quarterly where we would like to see other faces there as well. But there's not an open invitation to every meeting, but to every council member.
Okay.
Correct.
So there are times where we're not invited.
Just like it is with Coffee with Council or any other meeting
Well,
where we have to provide a quorum.
you described what this meeting was going to be for, and it wasn't similar, as I see it, to Coffee with Council. Coffee with Council is for anybody from the public to walk in. You talked about there are certain things that you're not able to attend. There's things that other people are not able to attend, and this is an opportunity to go over that. And so it's a much bigger public process with several people at any one time. I don't really see it comparable to Coffee with Council, but I just want to know that.
If the activities are the same, how?
It's literally our neighborhood. It's for our neighbors.
No, I get that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not Coffee with Council. It's
No,
literally
that's
for
what
our
I-
neighbors and
Yeah.
people who live in our neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
It's
not
literally
Coffee.
that simple.
I just
that-
want to know that if a quorum wants to attend, they could. I mean, I think that's.
You're invited January 15th, first one.
Okay.
You are, yes.
But not other council members.
No, that's 3. I don't want a quorum.
I can go.
Okay. Councilmember Trunick.
Yes, you could go.
I just have a couple of final thoughts. To me, this is about the process of how this came about. Heidi mentions the word and it's a buzzword these days and has been for several years, transparency. And yes, we're trying to be more transparent with our citizens within the city and outside the city. This doesn't feel very transparent within the council. And that is my disappointment right there.
Cool. So maybe we should define where that needs to happen.
Well,
Eric and I are going to go have a cocktail after this. Do I need to make sure that I run that by everybody here? There's going to be other people present too, of the public.
We might talk business.
you're not holding a meeting with an agenda and a presentation.
Who said there was going to be an agenda and a present? Oh, you did.
I told Jay that I'm going to have an outline of the topics that we discuss at council.
Yeah, I remember.
Those are my concerns.
Okay.
And then
Any-
noted.
Anything else for the good of the order?
I just have to say 2 cents. I think it's a really good idea that you guys came
Thank
up
you.
with. And I would actually encourage you though to maybe revise it so you can include more people. Because I think there's a great deal of interest. You don't have to do that now, but just think about it.
I've already had that. I thought if somebody wanted to reciprocate and pull that together in their community, invite us to go there, we'd be happy to reciprocate the invitation for them to come to our community.
Well, and my motivation is getting to know McCormick.
This is breaking down here.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else for the good of the order?
Yes.
Yeah. Mark, you've got something for the good of the order.
I do. Yes, I just want to recognize Heidi for taking the time and the effort to decorate the council tree this year. It was awesome. We didn't have to do it, which even made it better. So thank you very much for that, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi.
Tear it down for you.
So
Thank you.
I am not participating I'm understanding, Mayor Pro Tem, you're holding up an executive session. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So.
Yes.
All right.
Council will enter, Council will enter an executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110 subpart 1 subpart I for 15 minutes with no action to follow.
Okay. And the Mayor Pro Tem will adjourn the meeting after the
Yes.
executive session.
Okay. Thanks so much.